Okay, here is a quick update on the Dell motherboard. I posted a video on earlier with it outside of a case. Okay, I went ahead and installed a motherboard into an NZXT case. Here's the sound card. Here's a 450 watt power supply. Here is the brand new SSD, the DVD-ROM. Okay, go in. Zoom this out a little bit. Okay, so you can see there's a 4 cores, 8 threads. It's an older i7 2600. I did stick with the 8 gigs of RAM running at 1333. Here is the disk, the SSD. These SSDs are pretty good. Like I said in other videos, I have one and an all-in-one that's been running non-stop, for over probably 2 to 3 years, maybe 2, I don't for sure, but a minimum of 2, and it's been running perfectly fine. I don't have the IO shield. Windows is activated as Windows 11. I actually had it pre-installed on this drive for a different computer, and it just turned out to work in here, so I just took it as a win. And yeah, but show you the case. Here is the case. You could put two whoa, a little dusty now, 2 140s I believe in the top, or 2 120s. Okay, everything seems to be attached to it. Here is the front. Yeah, it's definitely getting dusty for just sitting. I had it done for a couple days, but it turned out nice. Here is the side panel. Let's flip this back down around so you can kind of see it. And it does have a spot in the bottom for another fan. But yeah, seems to be pretty good. Here is the ports. So you have 2 USB ports, 2 display ports, and I am adding in this little dude right here, which is just a display port to HDMI. Sound card works really good. You need this because the Dell motherboard, the way the headers are, you can't put it in the aftermarket case and still have, your ports up here working. There's a freaking light over here. You wouldn't have your headphone and mic jack working. The USB works on the front because the board has the USB. This is one of the systems you have to click F1 because it's like all the stuff's not hooked in, but all the stuff's hooked in on other spots on the board. Kind of odd. So like I say about it, it's done. I do have it listed for like $65. SSD is around $50, so most of the cost is from the SSD. I kind of feel like it's a really good price. If you bought the Dell by itself, with these kind of specs, you're looking about $80 or so. But then you're not gonna have, a 400 watt power supply. These are pretty good. I have replaced them in, like office computers for a long time and have never had a problem with them. I have computers with these power supplies in it that been running for more than 10 years. I think I actually have one that's still running, 10 years at least. Yeah, I believe so. 10 years. Dang, it's a pretty long time. Yeah, but it's a overall pretty good computer, especially for just $65. I don't sell on eBay. I sell locally through Facebook, and Facebook just doesn't like to promote people unless you want to pay them more money, which I'm already losing money on most of the computers, so why would I want to pay them money to promote a computer on there that I basically bought from them from Marketplace to begin with? So that's what I do, is I get on Marketplace locally. I buy used computers, computer parts. As you've seen, this one's a little dusty now for it being set around on the floor as I'm cleaning other computers. So, but yeah, I just get on there, I buy them. So lucky, so far I haven't got hosed, but like maybe 5 times. But out of 5 times, I really didn't get hosed because the people gave me my money back. Because they're like, oh, we upgraded and we just set it in a closet, and now we cleaned the closet out, found it, so now we're just we just figured we'll try to get rid of this old computer. I don't know if it just kind of stopped working from not being used, or it probably just didn't work and they bought a new one and they put it in the closet thinking maybe one day they might get it to work, and forgot about it didn't work, but at least I got my money back out of it, Yeah, seems pretty good. Yeah, it's mismatched RAM, but it is decent RAM. Sound card makes it, you technically, if you don't want to, if you're not using the front, headers on the case, you don't need this, but this is what I'm saying. Is to get audio to the front of the case, you have to hook the audio, plug to the sound card on the back. That's the only reason I put it in here, because this is normally right here is where you hook in the USB, which in the front of the Dell would have 2 USB 3.0s and 2 2.0s, right? So you can't really do that anymore. And then it obviously would have an airflow sensor. Why they decided to put an airflow sensor on a case, but that's not hooked up. You can see power button's hooked in right here. So yeah, you need all this stuff hooked in. The original one for the motherboard was like, yeah, we're not going to be picky and make you hit F1. So it's showing, the power button's not hooked in. It's showing the front headers are not hooked in. It's showing the airflow sensors not hooked in. See, it's showing a back fan not hooked in because I have this hooked in. I have a a regular standard fan, because these are non-standard plugs. Yeah, I could convert, plug these in and get it to work, but it still give you the message. So it's got it hooked in on Molex, but I switched them around. This fan is not running on 12 volts. It's running on the 5-volt rail for the Molex. I've done that for years and never had problems out of fans. So yeah, it runs slower than at full speed. If it was hooked up through Molex, it would run full speed, right? But since I'm only running the 5-volt rail, it's actually running slower. There's enough room, right here. I don't have the brackets in it, because I don't have them, to slot in a video card. It does have, I got it sitting back here. It does have an 8-pin for the power supply. Only thing I had running in the other system, the motherboard, CPU, and RAM in that was in here was an i7 4790 and 16 gigs of RAM, but I just had 2 slots. And at one point I had Sapphire RX 5, I want to say a 580, 8 gigs, and still running off this power supply. Never had a problem with it. And I'd run like, you know, like Cinebench R23 and then like Unigine Heaven at the same time. That's a 10-minute test, a minimum for the CPU. This is the R23. Runs a minimum 10 minutes. You know, it varies on, it's going to run a little bit longer unless your CPU can run it and hit because it will run for 10 minutes and it finishes the rendering of the image it shows in that time. So if you hit like 10 minutes and you're in the middle of the render, it goes on a little bit longer. So a minimum of 10 minutes at the CPU running at max speed, and Unigine Heaven running on higher settings, you know, like 1080p ultra high, I don't remember, but it had no problems running. And I usually run that test for Cinebench R23 usually twice to 3 times steadily, so the power supply is running and it never shut off due to overcurrent protection. It ran. So you can, you know, put a 570, after the 580 I was running a 570 with that other motherboard with the i7 4790 and 16 gigs of RAM. But yeah, I was hoping to get my hands on 2 video cards. One was NVIDIA 1650 4 gig card. So I was like, yeah, that'd be pretty good in this other build. And then the other one was a 1060. It was an HP OEM, you know, NVIDIA 1060. So it was a 3 gig model. I was going to put the 3 gig model like into here and then run the 1650 in a different system, and then my 570 in a different computer, because I have 3 computers right now that, you know, that could be ready. Well, technically I only have 2 that could be ready, because I only have an SSD for 1 extra SSD until I reorder them. But I just wanted to post this quick video of me actually deciding to put this motherboard into a case. So it's a Dell, I don't remember what the board was, but it's a Dell motherboard with 8 gigs of RAM, so that's 4 2 gig sticks, an i7 2600, slipped up, forgot what CPU is, but yeah, it has an i7 2600, i7 2600, the 450 watt power supply. That's a brand new fan I pulled out of my case, because it had 2 of these. No, it had 1 of these. It only had 1 fan in it, and this was a back. It's fractal design, so I put 2 140 mil fans in my front of my case, and the blades were white. So I had another fractal design 120 that was white. The blades on it were white. Basically, these blades here were white. So I just replaced all them fans in it. This left me with this brand new fan, and I just put it in this case. So yeah, that's a quick update on this computer. I had to do this really quick. I believe someone might be picking it up tomorrow for $60. Okay, thank you for watching, and if you are the person who bought it and made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you for buying the computer and for watching the video.